Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored Never Boring. On June the 29th, Avalon Hill posted in the news and updates section on Discord that they were planning to tease some more information about one of the new enemy types from the forthcoming HeroQuest expansion, Rise of the Dreadmoon. They were asking for people to vote on whether they would prefer to see information regarding the Assassins or the Magus Guards. It was a close vote, I suspect mainly because some people were trying to level out the votes in the hope Avalon Hill would reveal information on both enemy types, but the eventual winner was the Magus Guard. I was happy enough with that, because the Magus Guard are big burly sorts in armour, and I was interested to see if they would be significantly different to the Dread Warriors. So, true to their word, Avalon Hill dutifully shared the goods. Sort of. They shared 2 pictures. Would have liked a bit more, but that's what we've got, and that's what we're going to look at today. But first, if you recall, we have already seen teasers for the Specters that come in this expansion. You get 3 Specters, and they are some of the more interesting enemies we have met so far. They have a movement of 8, attack with 3 dice, defend with 3 dice, have 1 body point and 0 mind points. They have the keywords undead and ethereal, and we know that being ethereal allows them to phase through walls, heroes and other solid objects. This makes them incredibly mobile and allows them to get through pretty much any barricade the heroes throw at them. I'm pretty sure that also means they will avoid the effects of the Caltrops, a new weapon for this expansion that I talked about in my previous Rise of the Dreadmoon video, which lets players place tokens on the board that hinders monster movement. I am sure the ethereal keyword will be explained in more detail in the rules to cover such situations. Furthermore, Spectres have the ability to use the Channel Dread spell, which gives them a chance to drain body points while ignoring a hero's armor class. In other words, the Spectres are pretty interesting and have the most new and varied skills we have seen of any monster to this point. Can the Magus Guard compare? Well, I guess yes and no really. They aren't exactly pushing the envelope in terms of their design and what they bring to the game, but at least they do have skills posing specific types of threats that will encourage the heroes to approach them in a different way to how they approach something like the Dread Warriors. First of all, we get a better look at the miniatures, and they are really nice. They are elven warriors in full armour with flowing plumes and massive shields. They seem less chunky than the Dread Warriors, but their shields don't look that dissimilar to those carried by the Dread Warriors. Almost like Zargon's most elite units could indeed be elven troops corrupted by dread magic. Maybe that's something that might be developed in the future. Anyway, you get 2 of these warriors in the expansion, and when I first heard they were called the Magus Guard, my initial thought was they were soldiers in charge of protecting a magic user. However, they are actually, slightly surprisingly, magic users themselves, fully armoured mages. Their stats are movement 8 and then attack 4, defend 4, body 3 and mind 3. That puts them slightly above the Dread Warriors, who have exactly the same profile except they only have movement of 7. But what really sets the Magus Guards apart is they each have access to 2 spells which they can cast once each per quest. They have Ball of Flame and Tempest. As a quick reminder, Ball of Flame inflicts 2 body points of damage, then the target rolls 2 red dice and can reduce the damage by 1 for each 5 or 6 rolled. Meanwhile, Tempest causes the target to miss their next turn. There is no defense roll against that. Now, neither of those spells are new, but what is new is that for Rise of the Dreadmoon we are seeing regular enemies with the ability to cast spells. The Magus Guard have 2 spells they can cast once each, while the Spectres have the Channel Dread spell they can cast as often as they like. And of course, we also know the expansion has cultists, who I assume are also going to have magical powers, including the Channel Dread spell. Previously, spells were pretty much reserved for boss enemies, but regular troops with access to spells makes magic a much more dangerous proposition. These spells are bypassing the armour that seasoned veterans will be equipped with by this stage, and tactics such as sticking your meat shield in the doorway and soaking all incoming attacks are far less viable. So this isn't really a change in the rules of the game or how it plays, it isn't adding a lot of new complications and special abilities, but it is going to cause something of a shift in how heroes are approaching each new dungeon. Is it going to be enough though? One of the joys of HeroQuest is it knows what it is. At its heart, it's a straightforward dungeon plunge. It has no pretensions, and it doesn't feel the need to fold in layers of rules to simulate a multitude of situations. That's not to say you can't do great things with the HeroQuest rule set. With a bit of patience and some skillful writing, it is possible to craft intricate quests with unfolding narratives that feel like a real adventure for the heroes to get lost in. You can introduce win-lose conditions with knock-on effects, branching story paths, recurring characters, and more, and it's relatively easy to do because HeroQuest is such a simple game. Personally, I don't want to see HeroQuest becoming something other. I don't want Avalon Hill to start adding lots of complicated new elements to juggle. That really isn't what this game is all about, and I would hate for HeroQuest to lose the sense of what it really is. But at the same time, I do want Avalon Hill to embrace the creative challenge of expanding the HeroQuest experience. The Specters feel like they are rising to that challenge. I can't say the same thing about what amounts to Dread Warriors with a couple of spells. To be clear, as I said before, the Magus Guards having magic is a big deal. Enemies that can bypass armour, attack at range, navigate choke points and separate a group of heroes into more manageable bite-sized pieces is fantastic. It is certainly time we had new types of combats in our cramped dungeons. But at this stage, as Avalon Hill shake off the shackles of the past and start forging entirely new expansions, I would like to see just a little more. I mean, why give the Magus Guard Ball of Flame and Tempest? What is it about those pretty generic combat spells that feeds into the narrative of these elven warriors that have aligned themselves with Zargon? Why are they even using dread spells? Do you instantly lose your elven magic as soon as you bend the knee? Why couldn't they be using elven combat techniques? After all, I bet there aren't many people who own Major the Mirror who are still running their elf with elemental magic now they have access to the awesome elf spells. And if these soldiers are armed and armoured for melee combat, why aren't their spells focused around that style of combat? Why haven't they got the ability to imbue their swords with magical energy, shrug off powerful attacks, buff their defense, teleport into close combat, manipulate time allowing multiple attacks? I'm not asking for a lot, but I just think a brand new type of elven fighter mage has the narrative wiggle room to create something that feels a bit more lived in and real, something with character and history, something more than what if knights but fireballs. And I don't want this to come across as negative. I am still just as excited about this expansion, and of course there is so much we still haven't seen. The quest could weave a fascinating story, there could be lots of new traps and set pieces to challenge the heroes. The promise is there. And if the expansion doesn't live up to that promise, this is still a first step. The first tentative step out of the shadow of all the HeroQuest adventures that came before. It doesn't hurt to take things steady, to nudge the edges of the envelope before giving it a good hard push. I hope for really exciting things for the future, and I am still very much looking forward to receiving Rise of the Dreadmoon. And yes, I am looking forward to teaching some Magus Guards they should have remained loyal. But let me know your thoughts, because that is it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so, and hopefully I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone, bye bye.